This week on the Spike and Jones podcast.
Fortunately for you guys, this is one of those weeks when Spike takes the reins. Now, what I mean by that is Spike literally left me in the dust. Fortunately, he had a lot to say, and I just let him run with it. And truth be told, I didn't have much to share. I just kind of hung out and listened and laughed, just like you. So I'm recording this intro at my house out in the middle of nowhere, and it's the winter time. And you know what, guys? It's cold out here. So instead of me jabbering and yammering on, let's get to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spike and Jones.
Have you ever had a moment in your life where you're faced with an seemingly undecidable, an impossible choice?
Sure, it usually involves like the desire to either eat a sandwich or have sex.
I'm talking bigger. You can have sex and eat that sandwich at the same time. No, I mean, like, you know, there's been points in my you can.
I don't think so.
You really have to put a little cloth down first,
yeah.
and you know, on her back,
the cheese.
Treat her with the respect it deserves. What I'm
Sorry,
saying
honey.
is, you know, there's been times in my life when I had opportunities come up and I have to make a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and there's times in your life, and everybody's life, I think, where you come to a crossroads, for lack of a less, you know, cheesy, schmaltzy term.
Right.
You know, there was a time in my life when I had the opportunity to move across the country and change everything and get into radio. You know, and most of these opportunities come up at the least opportune time, the least convenient time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, when I was 26, it was the perfect time to make a change. I hit the crossroads. I took a chance, a leap of faith, if you will, for more cheese and schlock. Well, these opportunities come up throughout your life, you know, especially in your professional life, in your family life, you know, in your relationships, these crossroads come up. Most often they're met with fear, trepidation, emotion. You know, you're making emotional decisions instead of a logical-based decision, and you try to, as you grow older and these moments come up in your life throughout the course of your maturity process, you know, your maturation, you try to do more due diligence and look at it from a more analytical and logical perspective, but it's always going to be emotionally driven, I think.
Yeah.
You know, when you get out the legal pad and you put a pro and con list and you physically make a list, and those things really do work because it helps you sort in your brain.
Do you think so?
I think they do. I think once you put things on paper and and honestly look at pros and cons for choices that you have to make, you know, and if one list gets to be insanely longer than the other, there's your answer, right?
Well, sure, but I mean, I have done pros and cons lists. To me, it's like searching on Google for an answer to something I'm looking for, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say I want to, I don't know, buy a house, and I'm looking for a mortgage company, okay? Well, I go online.
I'd recommend Keel Mortgage, by the way. I love those guys.
They are great guys. I go online and okay, so I'm not going to use Keel Mortgage in this example, but let's just use ABC Mortgage, right? Some bland, nondescript.
Right.
And I've heard through the grapevine that ABC Mortgage is ethical. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I go online and I search and I type ABC Mortgage ethical, just because. And the very first thing that comes up is ABC Mortgage unethical. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say I think the opposite. I think ABC Mortgage is an unethical company because Spike told me he had a terrible experience. Okay. And then I go online to search, is ABC unethical? And maybe the first thing that comes up is ethical. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you'll either find one of two things when you do that sort of thing. You'll either find an answer that says, no, you're way off. Or you'll find something that agrees with you online. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Right? And so I guess what I'm trying to say in regards to a positives or negatives or win and loss columns are, you tend to favor what you already want. You've already flipped the coin.
I agree. Well, okay.
Is that fair?
If you want to gig somewhere, that's a fair assessment, and you're not gonna be honest. I said make an honest assessment. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
that's a big throw out there without, you know. I mean, you if you're not willing to be honest about it, then you know, just do what you want to do, and good luck with the consequences.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be great.
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't. And as far as you know, we could do a whole show on facts. And the fungible fact world we are now living in,
Yes.
the post-fact era.
Yeah.
And I don't want to point little orange fingers
But
at
Breitbart
anybody.
said.
Yeah. I'm amazed now that this fake news thing, and this may evolve into this anyway. I don't know. I find it just almost hilarious that Facebook is saying, well, fake news didn't swing the election. We didn't have a hand in the election. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Are you kidding me? This undecided middle, and the closest election maybe in U.S. history. This was a close election. It's a split. Popular went one way, electoral college went the other. It's split.
Yeah.
When there was so many undecideds who literally picked the president, and when they were force-fed misinformation, and to be fair, they went looking for it with a spoon in each hand.
Absolutely.
To your point about Google searching something, you can find whatever you want on the web.
Yeah.
And none of it's really valid.
Yeah.
None of it's trustworthy. I don't know how you find honest information anymore.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Well,
in any way, shape, or form.
and that's because news. Well, look. First of all, we're all human, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm an impartial newscaster, I'm going to have a real difficult time keeping my opinion out of my newscasts if I'm asked to offer an opinion.
Yeah.
In that situation,
yeah.
right? If I just go online and say, "Hey, today 24 people died in Beirut," well, it's a fact, right? It's a clear thing. If somebody asks how I feel about that, I don't know how impartial I could be. And so when CNN came into our lives in 1980, 1981,
probably.
they kind of changed the dynamic of impartial news sharing, and it became whatever the opposite would be.
Well, yeah,
partial,
I'll give you slanted news, but I'm not even talking about slant.
Okay.
I'm talking about disingenuous, false, intentionally fake on purpose.
Right.
The tunnel between the pizza delivery place in New York where Hillary Clinton ran a child sex thing with her campaign director. I swear to God.
Hear that. Is that a true
No,
thing?
dude, Pizzagate? You haven't heard Pizzagate?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Seriously, there's someone out there. Somebody wrote a fake story that the Hillary Clinton campaign and Podesta, I guess his name is, they had a child sex thing going where they ran this child sex, group, company, club, service,
right,
out of this. This guy went to a pizza place in Washington D.C. with an automatic weapon to do some self-investigating because he read it on the internets.
With an S.
Yeah, and even though it's been debunked, it's still being pushed across the internet today about the tunnel between the pizza place and the building 4 doors down where the children were kept. And the building in question doesn't even have a fucking basement in it. You can actually go in and knock on the concrete foundation and see that there's no downstairs. There's no down there.
Wait a minute. But I get to stop this. Just out of fun. Who actually investigated this? Was it the Clinton Foundation?
See? But that's my
right?
point. Nobody believes anything anymore because people will believe anything anymore.
Right. Because they want so badly.
And that's to your point about pros and cons list, about you will always find the answer you want to find.
Yeah.
The hard part is being honest enough with yourself to find the right answer, not just the one you want.
Right.
And I don't know that we're able to do that anymore as a society. Given the fact that news has become a money-driven business, you really want to inform Americans. The good old days, God love, we harken back to the good old days when newsmen brought us news and didn't just give us and reinforce the opinions we wanted to hear. MSNBC is slanted, but Fox News was deemed that like 80% of everything they said was false under fact check. But who did the fact checking? It's a frickin' dog chasing its tail. We'll never get there. It never ends. It's a loop.
And you don't think that happens at MSNBC?
I think it probably does, but I can't. It's not the same degree.
But don't you think that's because
slant.
you're liberal and that
it
Fox
is,
will be
of course, it is. But it is. But
so
when
you
I
want
watch
it to be that way.
But when I watch Fox News, and I do watch some Fox News just because of the Art of War, Know Your Enemy stuff.
Right.
But when I watch the last weeks of the election, and I'm watching them say blatant. Hillary Clinton, they've got enough to indict Hillary Clinton, which is not the case.
Right.
And they're informing people that to make the decision on the election.
Well, sure, it weighs into it. But wouldn't you agree? And I'm going to say this with full, whatever the word would be, that I actually admire her, is wouldn't you agree that a person like Rachel Maddow also takes it to an extreme in the other direction and that wants her opinion, wants her perspective so badly to be right that she'll make a really big scene. Like her on election night, she was crying. I don't know. To me,
you know what though? But Okay, I'll give you that. Is she opinionated and slanted and moving the facts around the board to highlight her case? Absolutely.
Sure. I don't call her disingenuous, though. I don't. Believe
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, is she slanted? Is she painting a picture for her audience? Absolutely. Is she telling you what you want to hear? Absolutely. Is she making shit up to do that? I don't think she is. The woman's got a doctorate in political science.
I don't think she's making.
She's infinitely smart. I mean, okay, Rachel Maddow, attractive lesbian that she is,
indeed,
has a political science doctorate.
Yeah.
As opposed to, not to be pointing fingers, but the former beauty queen contestants over at Fox News. Okay, I mean,
could see Russia from her house.
Well, not just that one. Gretchen Carlson.
Yeah.
Former Miss America, whomever.
True. I don't watch any of this stuff.
Megyn Kelly got a law degree. That's great, but she was a beauty contestant first and foremost.
And
when you look at gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'd almost vote for Trump just to get a look at her underwear.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, okay, they're trained, but they're. I mean, the post-fact world scares the shit out of me.
Why can't we just go back to like the world that had The Onion and everything else was real?
Yeah.
Right? It was just satire.
It is. And nowadays, you look at news on the web and you don't know if was I supposed to believe that?
Yeah.
And the stories are endless.
Yeah.
Endless about this, post-fact bullshit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go down a political rabbit hole, and I apologize for doing that, but we started talking pros and cons and blah, blah, blah. What can you believe? And you brought up the belief thing,
It's
not
my
me.
fault.
It's all good. You know me. You just lit the match. I'm the fuse attached to the powder keg of non sequitur ramblings. We talked about Crossroads. That's what I wanted to talk about today, because I'm facing a choice in my life again. And it's tough to do, because in the past when I've faced choices, there have been times I mentioned getting in the radio. I took a leap of faith. Left everyone I knew, left my comfort zone, left people that I loved to move across country to try something new and exciting, and it worked for me. I was able to land into a career that fit my skill sets, meet a woman that I fell in love with and has become my best friend and partner for the last 26 plus years, and it's been nothing but, sunshine and lollipops for me. But there were times throughout the course of that where I had opportunities to go and be my own guy and take another leap of faith and get out from under, my comfort zone, and decided not to do it. And, and I made excuses about, I can't take a leap of faith right now. People are counting on me to be solid and stable and blah, blah, blah. Plus, it's so much fun, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So you look back at these moments and go, oh, what ifs? Crossroads are, fertilizer for the garden of what ifs.
They are, but, I shouldn't say but. I agree. I was listening to a podcast. Alec Baldwin did an interview with Howard Schultz of Starbucks.
Oh, yeah. I hate him with a passion. I know him well.
Yeah. As all sports fans in Seattle.
And Seattle should. Do and should.
But
if you don't, call me. I'll tell you why.
He told the story about owning the Sonics.
About
and what a
the
debacle,
Clay Bennett?
And what a debacle that was for him. What a bad choice it was to even step in the beginning. It was a terrible choice. I mean, it was a really...
I'm going to have to go back and listen to his side of it, because I guess if I'm going to hate him with the fire of 1,000 suns, I should at least give him the time of day to hear his side of the story.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for him to win me back, though. I can promise you that.
Well, I mean, he really doesn't go into much detail, but he does talk that was an absolute terrible choice for him to even go down that road.
I hear you.
His wife warned him, don't do it.
Okay, so owning a pro sports franchise is a vanity exercise, first and foremost, for most everyone. Anyone who's successful at it
I'd say most everyone, not necessarily him.
There's always an outlier. There's always an exception to every rule. Howard Schultz. Because when I say Howard, I just say Stern.
Yeah.
He's the Band-Aid of Howards. He's the name you trust. So, and it's funny, though, Howard Stern, for all of his, detriments, and they're few compared to his assets, he's not full of shit.
No, he is not.
He is not.
You may not like him, but you know what?
He is not full of shit.
He will
tell you the truth, man.
Yeah.
You won't like the truth a lot of times.
Yeah.
But that handful of dog shit he rubbed in your face was earned by you.
Yep.
So Schultz, getting into the pro sports arena was not why I'm mad at Schultz. If he decided to get out, I think he owed it to the city to try to not,
exit the way he exited,
or to. He didn't care.
No,
he didn't do due diligence to investigate the owner. It says he wasn't going to take the team out of the city.
Yeah.
If indeed that guy ever did say that, because a guy who's from somewhere else, who's always said my goal is to bring a team to my hometown, doesn't go to the first team he can buy and promise he ain't going to move it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Christ,
so I'm sorry for
you have to pay $5 a cup of coffee to buy that kind of line of bullshit. Here, as I hold my Starbucks Christmas cup. $5 a shot.
I don't know. I apologize for steering us down that road.
No. Every road's a little fun trip today, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is. But he said when Alec was asking him about his life and his career and his failures and mistakes, the Sonics came up, but it was also because he had stepped away from Starbucks in 2007 and went into going
professional
into
sports ownership
and went right back to Starbucks because they had lost $30 billion in market cap in 1 year.
Yeah.
And realized, wow, okay, this is what I've got to stick with. But anyway, I was going with this.
So his regret was that he had taken his eye off the prize.
Correct.
Okay.
That he took his eye off the one thing that he was really, really good at.
Okay.
But here's where it goes back, because you were talking about, the crossroads you're at currently. In 88, he was saying he had been working slowly to build, Starbucks into this local boutique that was eventually going to take off into what, to become what it became. But his hopes were still there. He hadn't yet achieved all of this. And he was working. He'd been there maybe, I think, 2 years. And his father came up to him on Christmas, I believe, and said, Howard, I really need to talk to you. He said, your wife is pregnant with your first child. So I guess this is 86, excuse me. Your wife is pregnant with your first child. She is the breadwinner in the family. And meanwhile, you're chasing a hobby. What are you going to do? And by the end of the conversation, Howard had agreed to leave Starbucks, the burgeoning empire, and excuse me, and to do what he, his father-in-law believed was the right thing, to go get a job and be a real, earning husband and human being. And that night he went to his wife and said, look, I was with your dad and we had this conversation and I cried and I really broke down. I'm embarrassed and I don't know what to do. And she goes, what are you talking about? If you leave Starbucks, I'm going to divorce your ass. And his wife just believed in him.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Whether you like Howard Schultz or not doesn't matter. I just love the fact that they agree that they are a couple, and you have your wife. She knows, in a sense, what's best for Spike, and that matters more than money or anything else, because she knows your joy needs to be it needs to be, right? You need to release your joy, your strengths, whatever they are, whether you stay in radio or you go down a different road. Your joy needs to be released. And I think the greatest experience about this whole thing for me has been, I want to be better, and being around you makes me better. But the thing that I enjoy the most about sitting with you once a week is I've just made this great friend, somebody that I really admire and appreciate. And you just make my life fun. And no, but you do. I mean, when I'm with you, I can't wait to come and do this.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, my wife always tells me, have fun. Just go have fun. You're going to have fun. And she knows I need this for my soul. I'm never going to monetize this. I'm just doing it because I'm doing it. Yeah. People are telling us they're having a good time listening to it. Okay. But the reality is I'm just here in a selfish way. The world, well, I shouldn't say the world. America, we're designed as Americans culturally to make money, be successful in quotes, right? We're told we need to go to college, get a good job, make a great living, be successful so you can leave a legacy for your family. So when you die someday, people can go, Grandpa Spike, left me $5 million in his will. That's the supposed path, right? We're supposed to be successful. Okay. And I would tell you, I'm sorry for stopping you. No. But I would tell you that all that really matters is doing the thing you love. Now, the people around you need to either agree and or accept that you're going to pursue your truest passions, but and money, quote unquote, may not be made in that scenario, but you'll be so much happier than you would be chasing some whatever for 5 times what you'd make elsewhere doing the thing you love.
No, there's value in what you're saying. There's an honesty and a bedrock honesty to what you're telling me. And that's cool, because when I've asked for advice at this crossroads I'm currently at from all the people that I respect and love, they've kind of said, they've given me a plethora of input and information and thoughts to consider. But everybody always says, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
First and foremost, when I took my current situation, given the fact that what we had done forever had kind of run its course, and Bob retired, and I started doing what I'm doing now. My wife's like, every day you come home a little emptier than when you went to work, because your soul bank you're making withdrawals,
Right.
and you're not making deposits into your soul bank. And my problem, I kind of asked that we not talk specifics about my crossroads.
And we're not going to.
I appreciate that, but it's kind of hard not to. What I've always done career-wise is be very honest. Embellishment is a key to how we do what we do in radio. Storytelling is paramount, and live your life, but live your life, have an exciting life, because nobody wants to listen to a boring life.
Indeed.
But there's an honesty to it. There's a genuineness to it that's kind of been the bedrock of why people cared and came along with us on this journey. So, I don't know what the future of my chosen profession has to offer anyone, even, specifically me. But it's kind of an evolving, it's an evolving medium.
Right.
And I don't know that I can take the opportunity or the luxury of not taking a different opportunity, because I don't know how much track is left in front of this train.
Right.
This train, is rolling down the tracks, but I don't know how much more tracks ahead of us in this field. So, and that's something to consider when a lifeboat shows up. When you're on the Titanic and you got a great suite and the band's right outside your cabin, but you hit an iceberg and you're not done. You're still moving toward, you're moving across the water, but there's a lifeboat here.
But you're not on the Titanic.
Well,
I'm sorry, but you're not.
Well, in radio, are you sure? I don't know. I don't know that that's the guy. I hope you're right. And I've often said, when I'm trying to justify my desire to stay in front of people as an entertainer, dare I put those quotation marks around what I do, I tell myself that it's just the delivery platform is evolving. Correct. And the content will always be required. What we're doing here now, you, my good friend, have showed up in one lifeboat that I'm currently in.
Yeah.
At least you got a bucket of, and you're helping me bail out the Titanic.
It's a lot of ice.
You helped me bail out my cabin, but there's a lot of fucking water out there, and that's only a couple buckets we're holding here. Yeah. So that's into my thought process as I'm at the crossroads. It's a tough nut right now to crack open. And
yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Talking about this, just looking at you and seeing that smile on your face, I know how much, again, I use the word joy, how much joy you get out of just being behind a mic.
Yeah.
Whether it's this or, in a studio across the hall, right? I don't know. I don't know what to say. And obviously you're not going to talk about specifics here, but I think money is the weird, scary, intangible, and granted, it's not really intangible when you get down to it, right?
No,
but
it's not.
It's the one thing that can really, really mess with the decision, especially if you're talking, say, 3-1, right?
Well, yeah, you can, and let's be honest, it's not like we're talking about the status quo, and then trying to elevate the status quo.
Right.
We're talking about getting off the fucking Titanic.
Yeah.
Because to be fair with everybody, I've had a very charmed career from a monetary standpoint, but we hit a berg, and it hasn't been just it hasn't been status quo for my family and our financial future. And not to get too deep into it, but
yeah,
it's
been an abrupt change.
It's been a code orange. So do I want to maintain that code yellow that I've worked my way back into?
Yeah, because the last thing anybody wants to hear is, "Well, you're still in the 1%."
No, yeah, you know
Shut
what?
up.
Okay, that's great.
Shut up. I live in Seattle.
You know what? I am. I get it. I've been to Bangladesh. I've seen people who live in landfills. I've seen people who, their tier of society is to, they have nothing, and the people who then go pick through their garbage.
Right.
So I know what that looks like.
There's always somebody.
Yeah. And I've had the benefit of seeing what troubles really look. I'll tell people all the time, and I've told everybody that I've ever had a chance to, I don't have any real problems.
Yeah.
I've seen what real problems look like, and I don't have them. First off, I'm a white man in America. Shit, short of getting with my legs blown off, I'm having a good day.
Yeah.
And even then I'd have a good day because I'd have health care in this country that people around the world will never dream of having. So I'm not bitching. Don't get me wrong. I've got a embarrassment of options, but it's hard to know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's when you talk about, regret and the crossroads and making choices. And as you grow up and you realize your choices have consequences for more than just yourself.
Yeah.
When you start caring for and about a family, and about the next generation, then do you have the luxury of indulging your own joy? I mean, is joy a luxury at this point that I no longer can so freely indulge?
Well, to me, I still think it is what gives you the joy.
It is the coal that runs the boilers.
Yeah.
It really is. I get that. And like, to my point earlier about my wife saying you come home a little emptier than you left this morning every day.
Yeah.
There's a point where you better start filling up the hopper of your joy, chute. Otherwise, it doesn't matter where your train's headed. You're just a misery machine.
Has it affected, I mean, if you don't mind, and you don't have to share it, but do you think it's affected your marriage profoundly?
Sure.
Profoundly.
Yes, of course it has, because the stress and strain on your partner who's looking and counting on you to,
keep their life the way it was?
Well, not so much. Yeah, to a degree. But also to have them put their head on the pillow at night without worry. That's what you do when you take on a family.
Yeah,
when you enter into a partnership and agree to raise children and start something bigger than yourself.
Right.
You sign on for something that you're going to follow through. That's what That's what you do. I mean, you're a stepfather.
Yeah.
You have excuse me.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Your wife stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a stepdaughter, but I'll never think of her that way or call her that.
Right.
But when you sign on, you sign on.
Yeah.
You go in with eyes open, knowing full well that that's not something that's not negotiable. You don't walk away from that.
Yeah.
So that being said, do I indulge my need for joy, which is a legitimate need?
Yep.
Everybody needs to be happy. Otherwise, you're just a freaking cubicle rat.
Yeah, skin bag.
Yeah, you're a skin bag. I saw a little cartoon. I'll sidebar you. I saw a little cartoon last week. Took my daughter to see a movie, that Moana, the newest Disney princess.
I want to see that.
It's wonderful. It is. The ending could have been better. It's not a classic Disney ending, but it's a great Disney movie.
Well, somebody dies. It's not a classic.
No. Yeah, mom's not dead. Mom's not dead. No spoiler alerts, but the mom lives. Okay. I can't believe it's Disney either. Beforehand was a short about a guy who wakes up in the morning, and it's about his brain. And this is a great. I love the little shorts that. Who's the guy? John. His name escapes me, and it kills me. He's the guy that did all the Cars and. God, the guy. I can't believe the guy's name is escaping me right now.
Oh yeah, with Pixar.
Pixar, yeah. You know the guy I'm talking about.
They do the shorts.
They do all the great. I mean, you've heard about the $1 billion lunch where they sat down and in one lunch they storyboarded Toy Story and Cars and Finding Nemo and WALL-E and all these these franchises from one lunch at Pixar. Again, begins with an M, and you people at home are yelling at your podcast right now to tell me the answer. Anyway, he did this short. It's about a guy who wakes up and his brain wants this and his blah blah blah, and he just makes compromises all day.
Right.
Well, walking to work, he sees people surfing, and his brain wants to do it, and his body says no, and then his stomach wants something bad for him, but his brain says no, and get to work and get in your cubicle and do the thing, blah blah blah, and the guy finally succumbs to his joy, his need for joy. And that's the cartoon, The guy ends up, indulging his, the girl he saw on the way to work and the guy with the surfboard. And everybody around him in the other cubicles see that he's now not just a little skin bag, And it's a great little short, but how profound is that to our topic today about life and joy and, what you got to do to stay alive and, the choices that you make and the crossroads that you reach and how do you make your decision and who it affects and.
So you're telling me go see Moana?
Go see Moana, but go to work, get early, see the short before it. It's not Moana I'm talking about.
So my wife and I the other night. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I don't know. Just recently, I was listening to one with Rob Lowe,
Okay.
I know.
I love Rob Lowe, by the way.
Okay.
Love Rob Lowe.
Did you ever watch The Grinder when it was on TV?
Oh, yeah.
I'd never heard about it. 'Cause I think I told you, since 2012, I haven't had television.
Right.
So
The Grinder, for those who don't know, he's an actor who played a lawyer. His real brother is a lawyer, and he becomes better at it than his little brother.
Right.
It's great.
It's great.
So Rob Lowe.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And so it's on Netflix. And so I started watching it. And that I think it's the second episode when his brother says, no, you cannot do this because it's illegal. And he goes, but what if we can? And then they ask a question later on that says, no, that's not allowed. That's not authorized.
I want to show, first off, for just a moment, that's sidetrack. I was looking it up, but I didn't need to see it. It's John Lasseter.
John Lasseter.
Yeah, because it's been driving me nuts. I'm that guy. When I can't think of something, I'll obsess on
Somebody in Indiana was like, Lasseter!
Yeah, so Indiana, we should be so lucky.
Yeah. Well, no, we do.
Indiana
We have
care.
huge listenership in Pennsylvania, which is
So The Grinder,
bizarre.
that's my mom's family. I should have told you.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, The Grinder, he's constantly.
What if we can?
He's so.
He's not restricted by the rules.
Right. He's really fallen in love with the idea that he has somehow become that character, that he really is. He's so deluded. I think he's deluded.
Lowe?
Yeah,
He thinks he's the Grinder, or the Grinder thinks he's the Grinder's deluded, or Lowe is deluded.
The Grinder's definitely deluded.
Oh yeah, totally. Well,
but Lowe has somehow, he's so hyper positive and so believes that the Grinder, the experiences of the Grinder and the ethics of the Grinder are actually him, that he is the Grinder as well.
Okay.
And that if the Grinder thinks that way, then why can't we all, right?
Okay.
And so I love the idea that he posits where he's always saying, yeah, but what if we could?
yeah.
That hyper positivity, right?
Okay.
And so my wife and I have been joking about it for the past couple of days, but the reality is why not? Why can't we say, I don't care if you say I can't fly. What if I could?
I'll tell you why.
Because you'll die.
No, yeah. Yes, thank you for such a brilliant way to make my point. To the earlier discussion of fake news, and everybody's a freaking journalist these days, and anybody can post anything. There's consequences for unskilled and untrained and unprofessional people doing something we all count on as a society.
But what if it wasn't?
We end up with a fucking president who's a reality star who doesn't understand international diplomacy or the Constitution that he's taken on a job to protect and defend. I mean, that's what happens what if we could? What if we don't have to obey the laws of election law? What if we don't have to not pander to foreign investors or people who we may owe billions of dollars to Russian oligarchs? What if we don't have to tell people who we owe money to and make them vote for us anyway? Then when we have to discuss policy and, federal involvement abroad, international policy, we can kowtow to people we owe money to with the consequences, being borne by the American people who blindly trusted us. Back to politics goes Spike O'Neill.
No. It actually reminds me that maybe Trump watched The Grinder and he thought, but what if I call Taiwan?
Yeah, what if I can't take a phone call? I saw somebody had a tweet. Trump's like, we can sell Taiwan billions of dollars, but I can't take a congratulatory phone call. So we're back, yeah, it's fucking international diplomacy. Really tricky stuff. Maybe we should learn about it before you get us all killed.
Yeah.
They're going to flip him and John Bolton, they're going to flip off China? Are you fucking kidding me?
It'd be better if it was Michael Bolton.
Are you? I know, it really would. I'd rather have Michael Bolton than John Bolton. I really would. God, it's terrifying. That's the what if, man. We're at the crossroads, people. We should have done this podcast a month and a half ago. That's the podcast. We're at the crossroads, America.
Okay, so you've been talking about this stuff, and we need to steer in a different direction.
Okay. I don't mean to go political.
So, well, no, it's okay because we've been talking about career choices, and when you brought up this topic, my brain said, well, career choices, I mean, those are the obvious ones, but I'm going to go down a dark road because that's what I do.
What about love?
Is love.
Yeah.
And divorce.
Well, yeah, well, of course. Oh, you were talking about crossroads and choice. When I asked you if we could talk about this subject, it wasn't just because I'm personally at another crossroad in my life. I think about, the people in your past, the partners in your past. What if I had moved to Seattle 27 years ago and not wanted to get tied down and not wanted to, put in any roots in Seattle, wanted to just learn how to do radio and go back to Baltimore? As I've said many times, that was my goal when I got here, was to come here and learn how to do radio from Bob Rivers and go back and be the mayor of Baltimore, my hometown.
Yeah.
Take up the void he left in the marketplace and do radio in my home fucking town. I'd be living in Baltimore.
Wow.
I'd be, doing radio in Baltimore, which I wouldn't be bad, but Baltimore is not Seattle. God, I mean, for you folks at home listening in Baltimore, my friends and family, I'm sorry, but, we don't have empty shells of neighborhoods in this town.
No.
Like Baltimore does. We don't have... God love it, we don't have a population that's at war with the police department in this town.
Yeah.
We don't have rioters in the streets in this town.
I went through Baltimore in 2003. I've been there once.
Yeah. You didn't go back, huh? Didn't feel the need to go back, huh?
I was downtown.
It's gotten worse.
Visiting my friend
I love the
at
place.
Peabody.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a killer guitar player. And we thought, hey, we're going to drive up to amusement park up in Pennsylvania. And
Hershey Park.
And at the time, the MapQuest is what we had.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us right through the northern part of Baltimore. And talk about, I've never seen that. I've never seen, kind of a ghetto area where I clearly stood out in my white rental car. I mean, the fact that it was a white car was hilarious on top of it.
Did you have a pointed hood ornament? I mean, shit, dude. No, I'm sorry, man. That's inappropriate. But, they filmed The Wire in Baltimore.
Yeah,
you know why?
for a reason.
Yeah, they didn't have to build any sets. They were already sitting there. You guys will be extras in The Wire? Sure. Okay. We're done.
Yeah.
You're already standing on the corner at 3 a.m. with your baby on your hip. We don't need to hire somebody to do that.
Jeez.
We need to get a baby from Central Casting. The woman's already standing there. The little girl with the baby, I should say, is already standing there on the corner. So choices. I moved here. I met my wife, and I was determined not to, get in a relationship. But it was a crossroads.
You were determined?
Well, yeah.
Determined.
I mean, I tried to break up with her.
Really?
I swear to God.
That's a
I swear to God. We were getting a little too hot and heavy. Okay. And I was starting to have some serious...
Too much journey.
I was starting to have some serious feelings for this girl. And I was like, I got to end this now because I'm not going to stay in Seattle. I'm going to go back to Baltimore. Well, she decided, nuh-uh.
Wow.
And that was that. And next thing you know, we're moving in. And next thing you know, we're engaged and getting married. Next thing you know, we're having, we got a family.
Nice.
It's,
That's awesome.
That's what it was.
I just love your face. I wish listeners could see Spike's face because he has this warmth around his face, especially when he talks about his wife. That's a really cool thing.
It's fear-based, but I'm glad warmth is what comes through to the public.
That's great. She has me sitting on a grenade and she has the pin in her teeth.
We used to describe our morning show, the Bob Rivers Show, as 3 guys who love their kids and fear their wives. I think that was a very honest assessment of who we were and how we did what we did. That's how we made our choices.
So are they all, I'm assuming, radical opposites? In other words, is Bob's wife really, really, really gregarious?
No.
Because Bob is so introverted away from the set.
It's funny. All of our wives are very, very, very different. But that being said, the 3 of us were very, very, very different.
Yeah.
And that's why it worked so well. The 3 wives, we often thought that we should take days and just let the wives do the show.
Oh.
We many times we tried to get Bob to do that. He would never let us do that.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have heard
it.
It
would have been, Lisa, Melissa, and Kelly's show would have been Kelly. Is that right? God, Joe's wife. God, I hope that's not right. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed right now.
That's right.
Edit this part out.
Let's talk about Adam Carolla and his wife Lynette, and she has her own show now.
Is there? Oh
she
God,
does.
yeah.
She really does.
Well, media spouses. There's a whole nother podcast we should do.
Okay.
I
don't have a media spouse. My wife can barely speak English.
Oh wow.
It's not true. I just want when she's at home, like, I don't know, next week when this podcast comes out, I just want her to come over and hit me in the back once.
Well, you're lucky it's an open hand. It's like not holding a knife or something. Yeah.
So I was hoping, I don't know if I was hoping, but I thought I would talk about the fear that comes from divorce.
Sure.
And
fear that comes from the contemplation of divorce, or fear that as a result of divorce. Because if you're going to fast forward to the sequel, without showing me the build up to divorce.
No sequel.
I mean, we're talking about Crossroads and choice. We're talking about divorce might be the most profound and impactful crossroads and choice people ever face.
Well, so I'll give you all the brief story. I met my ex in early part of 1988. I had moved. I was in the Navy, and I was on a submarine of all things. And it was moving. I know. I was. We were moving the submarine's base because little did I know we were going to decommission it. They don't necessarily tell everybody in advance, but they were moving it from Groton, Connecticut, down to Charleston. And I remember even telling all my friends, you know what I'm going to do? I mean, I proclaimed it. We're going to move to Charleston, and I'm going to meet my wife. You know, some Southern belle, the whole thing.
Sure, Charleston's
that's what's going to happen. And moved down there, and the Valentine's Day, we landed on Valentine's Day in Charleston.
Yeah.
My friends cut my hair in very similar to yours, you know, but
high and tight, flat
you know,
top,
and and I just looked like an absolute idiot. But we decided that night we were going to go to this dance club on Dorchester Road. And my buddy was this kid from Puerto Rico, and he was a killer dancer. I mean, he just had all the pop and lock moves, and he was just really cool and suave, and he had this killer style, and he's just such a ladies' man. It was just awesome to watch this guy. And
Rico suave.
Right, totally. I mean, very handsome and lean, and it just had it going on. You know, probably just had it going on. And
then there was you.
And then there was me, right? The opposite. The whitest guy in the room. But we would go to that dance club, and we did it for a couple of nights, and I liked hanging out with him, one, because he was fun, and two, because the ladies would congregate around him, and I could pick the chaff, you know what I mean?
Man, yeah.
But one night we went to the Wendy's next door to the dance club, and I saw this girl there, and she was just cute and nice, you know, and I have no idea how this even happened, but we ended up kind of just, I said something that was kind of flirty, and so we're sitting there eating, and she comes out and sits down with us, you know, and talks to us. And I made some small talk, and I said, so, you know, we're going to go to the dance club if you want to come over after your shift. And she said, sure. And so we go in the dance club, and she doesn't show up. Okay, 11:30. We're thinking we should get back to the boat, and you know, get a cab. And I step out, and as soon as I walk out, there's this girl standing in the window of the Wendy's waving. She was waiting for us to come out, and I didn't know what was going on. I walk over and I go, "How come you didn't come over?" And she goes, "Well, I'm actually not 21." Right. So I said, "Okay, well, you know, maybe I'll see you again." And she said, "Well, you do me a favor, will you lend me your coat?" And I said, okay. And so I take my coat off and I give it to her, and she goes, now you have to see me again. So the next day I went to Wendy's, and she's there. She's got my coat, and you know, started dating. Just the inevitability. I don't need to go into all the details of that. No. But we ended up getting pregnant.
Okay.
Instead of getting married, doing everything the right way, we ended up getting pregnant.
Well, yeah.
And my son, my amazing son, Zachary, was born from that.
Sure.
And so no regrets. No regrets in all that. And then I had two more beautiful daughters that, you know, no regrets. I mean, I love those three older children. They're just insane for them. But my wife and I, you know, I'm trying to be cautious on how much I share, but my wife and I just, you know, we were too young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely ill-prepared.
Right.
I'm in the Navy, which means I'm doing Navy stuff all the time.
Right.
And, you know, it's
now she's got 3 kids.
Right. You know, take care of the kids, I'll see you at 6 or whatever, right? That whole thing. And so there was just a lot of, you know, we were just veering from each other really fast. And somehow we weathered, 8.5 years of this. It was insane.
Well, you tried.
We did. We had a just a really long period there at the end where we were coming to this crossroads thing. I think both of us were afraid to say, you know, this, we're not trying and it's not working and we just need to move on. And that fear of leaving what at least is moderately safe and predictable, at least you know what you're going to get. You might not like it too much. It goes back to the job thing. You might not like it too much, but at least you know where you're going to go every day, and they're going to pay you $50,000, right?
Right.
And so, excuse me, I'm just in fear. I'm in absolute fear of losing this, again, quote unquote, relationship that doesn't really exist. And I certainly don't want to hurt my children, because at their age, that age when we went through this divorce, I knew it was going to scar, it was really going to harm them.
Yeah.
And it did. But all that said, I met this girl and I really liked her. And I thought, this girl gave me the impetus in my brain to take, to sack up and go home and say, you know what,
happy.
we need to split up. Yeah, you deserve the very best you can have, and I do too. And it's not each other. And I kept telling the girl, I mean, we didn't have a relationship or anything, but I mean, I just really liked her and just admired her. And I said, I'm gonna go home and tell my wife I'm gonna get divorced. Because I really wanted to be around this girl, and I just couldn't ever do it. And then Christmas of '96 came, and long story short is we were really, really sort of spiritually and mentally separated by then. And she's going and working another job. She's working 2 or 3 jobs to make extra money for our family. And like the day after Christmas, she says, I don't want to be married to you anymore. And the very first thing I did was go, yes! In my head.
In your head?
Totally did.
Not outside
I didn't
voice.
do it out loud.
Okay.
But we're laying in bed. I'm here. She's there. And she says this. And I just literally looked up at the ceiling and I was like, thank you, God. I mean, I'm not kidding.
No, I hear you.
And then something else happened, which I'm hesitant to share, but I'm going to share it anyway. I found out that she was seeing somebody.
Well, yeah. And you kind of were too.
And I was certainly in my head.
Right.
I mean, I was certainly
to quote great Jimmy
fantasizing.
Carter.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, look, I'm not.
No, I hear you. And I'm not past judgment. You're not past judgment. It's all good. We're just being real honest
absolutely.
here,
Yeah.
Okay, so that was good. You guys made a healthy decision.
She's one of the people in my life I really truly want the very best for. But
Sure.
Because now that all the divorce is separated, but but at the time. So anyway, I found that out, and everything changed in a heartbeat. My mental state went from, wait a minute, that's not okay.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, too. Wait, this is great. I'm going to get divorced. To wait a minute, you're seeing somebody?
Yeah.
Well, that's not okay. Now I got to figure out a way to fix this.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I go running back. I had a band that was getting ready to go on tour. Uh-huh. I mean, it was going to be a big deal. It was a national tour. Mm-hmm. I had all these things going on, and I gave it all up so I could go save my marriage.
So you could have somebody else not eat your lunch.
Basically.
Wow.
And that didn't work.
Oh, well, of course it wouldn't. Your heart wasn't in it. You were doing that for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
You weren't doing it because you loved her and wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
I mean, you wanted it so you didn't have to lose to some other guy.
Right. I was just
that
massive.
was very reptilian of you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What's good for the goose is not, or whatever. What's good for the gander is not good for the goose.
Well, that's how human of you.
Yeah.
God.
But I just couldn't. I just really struggled with it, and it got more emotional, more frustrating. And I remember laying in bed and even praying, like, Lord, save my marriage. Like, I'm not going to do anything, but I need you to magically, impart your Christ-like skills on my soon-to-be ex-wife.
Your divine wisdom.
Yeah.
Please.
Maybe you'll save us. And then the divorce, came and went, and then amazement of amazements, I meet the woman of my dreams. And so. It's funny because we're talking about Crossroads, and mine in that situation was based solely on fear. I mean, just absolute fear. It wasn't even about a choice, or I gotta make a choice to do the right thing. It was just all fear all day for years.
Well, most of us make all of our choices based on fear. Come on, don't crucify yourself, to steal a word from your arena.
Yeah.
Seriously, man. I mean, all choice, all Crossroads has to be run through a filter of pros and cons. Make your list. Blah blah blah. It's all fear. How bad am I going to screw this up?
Yeah.
Is this a real option for me? Am I being honest about this? Is this, is there a reason to stay? Is there a reason to go? Is there a reason to jump? Is there a reason to stay? It's all fear-based. I mean, we live our lives fear-based. You ever see the movie oh God, what's it called? And I love this movie. It's Albert Brooks, Meryl Streep, about heaven.
Oh yeah. Defending your life.
Defending your life. It's about fear. The whole life is fear based.
Yeah.
That is such a great assessment of life.
Yeah.
It's fear based.
Yeah.
All of it is. So don't
But
sell
it
yourself
shouldn't be,
short.
right?
It's fear based for a reason. We're the burned hand.
Yeah.
Fear is a safety mechanism, a self defense mechanism for most things in life. I mean, there's things you're supposed to be afraid of.
But don't we think...
how nature... You ever see that Far Side cartoon, how nature says, do not touch, porcupine, stingray, guy with a shoe on his head, how nature says don't touch, the Far Side. Gary Larson laid that shit out
so
for you
great.
people, it's fear-based it can be our biggest undoing, but it can also be our saving grace,
Yeah. My daughter, my eldest daughter went through a phase where I really thought she maybe wasn't all there. Just had I was really concerned.
Well, sure.
Because there was a moment where she, I'll never forget this. I was washing my car in West Seattle in the alley, and I looked at her at the end of the alley down there, and she's got a stick, and she's doing something like with this stick. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? There's a beehive. She literally had the stick poking the beehive. And I was like, you should stop doing that. You're going to get stung.
Yeah.
And then I'm washing my car, and about 5 minutes later,
I got stung by some bees.
Where'd you get stung? On my foot.
Because the hive was on the ground.
Right.
Down.
So she goes inside, and my beautiful wife takes care of her and, rubs some salve and maybe puts a band down and gives it a kiss, that whole thing. And then within 5 minutes, I look down the alley and I see this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's poking it again. And I'm like, oh man, she is not all there. And yet she grew up to be this extraordinary woman.
Well, yeah, we all learn.
So there are some of us that don't necessarily learn on even the fourth or fifth
We're
time.
all on our different path. We all have a different learning curve, man.
I love you, honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Don't
great.
forget to put your helmet on. I know it's only oatmeal. Put your helmet on.
Mike Myers. Oh my gosh. So, what do you think about, I was trying to think of another interesting crossroad, and the only ones I can come up with aren't ones that I've experienced, but ones I've read about, like biblical crossroads or experiences that our world leaders have done, and maybe that takes us back into politics. But what other ones have you come up with?
For me, for crossroads?
Yeah.
Most of mine have been career-based, of course. Do I, I mentioned earlier, do I take this leap to move out from my comfort zone to see a higher ceiling? I look at things in terms of floors and ceilings,
Yeah.
The risk and reward, equation for people. There was a chance I had to leave Seattle and leave Bob and go to a big city with a big national radio star and be his number two.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I went in for a sit-in.
Can you tell us who it was?
No,
Okay.
no.
It's all cool.
But I went to his show in his big ass city. They put me in a nice hotel, and I sat in on his show one day, and I did some bits with him, and it went crazy good. And he loved it, and the staff loved it, and he saw the upside. And I came back, and my boss gave me a big fat raise, so I didn't stay. So the other guy offered me even more money to go, and I didn't go.
Wow.
Because it was the unknown. It was uprooting my wife and daughter and moving to a bigger city. And I never regretted it because I was lucky enough to keep going on the good, easy, no challenge, no risk path I was on.
Right.
But you look back and you go, man, well, what if I had gone to, top market?
Right.
To become, I see people who made that choice. I mean, quite honestly, I was on a parallel with like Jimmy Kimmel, who started in radio and started as a sidekick and a producer and spent some time at KISW or KZOK.
Yeah.
Came through here for a couple minutes.
Yeah, he did.
And you see guys go on to do that. And I'm thinking, well, what if I hadn't made the safe choice? What if I hadn't made the fear-based choice? and gone on to use what I can do and been given a larger pond to swim in, what I've grown to be a bigger fish.
So to quote Steve Harvey, do you know who that is? The Family
he's
Feud
the guy.
host?
He's the guy that hosts the International Beauty Pageants that reads so well.
Yes.
That's him.
Yes.
yes.
The dyslexic host.
Yes, I know. God love him.
But there was a famous video that came out, I don't know, about a year ago about him jumping or talking about jumping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jump. I've seen. Yeah. I don't know it verbatim, but I've seen it.
Yeah. It's a great video. Very, very. A very good reminder that life is fraught with things you should be concerned about, but you'll never know until you jump.
Right.
And I mean, so don't you consider yourself the guy that is just playing it safe? I mean, you've spent a life maybe playing it safe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is this fair to ask? I
No,
feel like
no,
a
of
jerk.
course. No. It's, you can call me on my own bullshit. Sure.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's easy to stick with something when you know you've had success with it. But
Well, yeah, but to play it safe, and to my earlier point, though, because you come to a point in your life when I was 26 and my consequence affected no one but me, was easy to decide to sell my crap and get on a plane and come to Seattle and try something different. It's easy when it's just you.
yeah,
When you've got people that your choices affect, that's a harder jump.
yeah,
I mean, we talk about, I talk about my beautiful wife and the partnership and friendship that we've had for more than half my life. And when I decide to jump, I'm taking her and my kids with me.
right.
So
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And as it should for everybody. But have I hurt them by playing it safe for them? I played it safe for them. Is that just an excuse I use?
Probably.
I'm sure to a degree it
there's a little
is
bit in there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of truth in both sides of that equation, but
But if you got an offer in New York City where your older daughter is right now,
yeah.
would that maybe work for you?
you know what?
Or do you just love it here so much?
You know what?
Roots are so deep. There's no way to make that
No, I don't
change.
think my roots are so deep here. My equity's here. People know who I am here. The pat on the backs are here. New York's like, who are you? And not
Yeah.
just New York, but anywhere else.
Yeah, but
could be Charlotte, North Carolina, could be Phoenix, Arizona, could be Dallas, Texas, could be Chicago, could be anywhere. San Francisco, it'd all be like, who are you?
But that would be a moment where they would maybe buy your love, right? They would say, "Hey, come to New York."
Well,
We're
you'd
gonna
have to
pay you."
you'd have to mitigate the risk factor and the shaking the etch a sketch by, yeah, of course, making it worth your while
It's
to
like Randy
take that risk.
Johnson pitching in at the Yankees for a year.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, people will buy your services, and that's cool.
Right.
It happens.
Right.
But yeah, I guess my choices have been fear based, and my risk aversion has been fear based, and that's not everybody's situation now, I think.
I think so. I mean, you talk to any good business coach, and they'll tell you you'll never succeed until you jump off those cliffs.
No, you're probably right, and that's probably true. I've had a level of success,
right,
that's been moderated by fear of risk.
Yeah.
That's by, checked by comfort. So
I have a friend that is an ex-Pro Bowl NFL player.
Okay.
I'm not going
I thought you were going to say Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
God, I don't know any good Pro Bowlers. I'd love to know a Pro
I
Bowler.
don't either. It's called a bowling center, by the way, not a bowling alley.
Right. Trying to clean up the image, are they?
Nomenclature. But no, he's a good buddy of mine who lives in the area and a Pro Bowl guy and a really extraordinary player in the NFL, and obviously retired now. He and I we got together for lunch a couple years ago. I mean, we see each other a lot, but I mean, just this is coming from this conversation we had, and we were talking about the fact that it's so hard. We were comparing notes. He coming from the NFL, me coming from the music business, and only in a sense having one skill. Mm-hmm. Right, which is kind of what speaks to you, having that, or maybe feeling like you only have that one skill.
Right.
But he said, "Look, all I've done is play football my whole life, right? The whole Pee-wee up until high school, and college, and I'm, you know what I mean." So he's a 1% of a 1%er, especially being a Pro Bowl guy. Right. I did the same thing in the music business, and then you leave, and it's like, oh, what do you do? And so, what we both did is the wrong thing. We both chased the money. We didn't do what made our heart happy. We chased the money. And that was devastating. because even though we both did well in the space that we could earn a living, it wasn't our destiny. It's just not how we weren't cut from that cloth. As much as I would love to be a hedge fund manager, because I can drive a Ferrari, a daily driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do all those things that I fantasize about. The fact is I hate that space. I understand it, and I think I would be okay at it. But would I be great at it? Heck no. I would never be great at it. And I want to be great. I believe in a creator, and I believe I was made to be great at something. It's not this. I enjoy being a podcaster. It's fun, and I love hanging with you, but I know I'm not great at it. I know I'm a great drummer. I know I'm great with people, meaning I care about them so much that I'll put a ton of effort into them because I love them. I feel like my relationship with you, Spike, doing this podcast is because I want to put effort into you because I believe so much in who you are and what you want to achieve in your life that if I can kind of keep you afloat, just to keep your head on straight while you're picking the next thing you do, then I've done my thing. I love this. I love that we actually had this conversation because right now, I feel like this is a crossroads moment. This moment right here where we actually talk about the reality. Maybe this answers the question for you. Maybe this conversation today helps you say, what do I really have to do? Because it's exciting. I'm in a situation right now that I haven't been in almost 10 years where I'm walking into a financial opportunity that's extraordinary. I mean, mind-blowing. Never ever earned that much money. And I know it's going to be great because it's exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do very well. I'm just going to do very well. But I hope I don't lose out on the opportunities to do these sorts of things with people I genuinely want to be around, because I know I'm not, again, I know I wasn't built to be a radio guy. I wasn't built to be a podcaster. Or I think, to be fair, I mean, maybe with time I'll be better. I shouldn't say maybe. I know with time I'll be better. I also know I'm not very good. I'm decent, but I happen to hang out with cool people. Why
aren't they on the show? Why don't you get them to come to your goddamn shows? Jesus, you're holding out.
Yeah, but I do. But you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, I hear you.
I hope it doesn't feel like I'm jumping down your neck when I say that. I can see you light up when you talk about certain things that you don't when you talk about other things. And it's really easy to get excited about an opportunity simply because you're so jonesing for the next thing that the sexiness of the next thing being available to you maybe doesn't look like what you want, but man, at least somebody loves me enough and wants me enough. And don't we want that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah.
When I got this opportunity, I knew this was the right one because of other factors. But there was a moment I was like, man, am I just doing this to make more money? And the answer would have been, yeah. It wasn't until I had the third conversation. It took the third conversation to understand the money is a variable. It's a part of it, and it's a great part of it, I admit. But it was because they are going to allow me to do what I do best, which is to go out and to speak into people's lives and to find people and to make them better, to give them what they want. I am reimbursed for giving you or giving that person what they want. That is cool.
That's super cool.
And so there it is, right? So, I mean, I would just say from a economic/career crossroads, I'll use it again. I mean, if it gives you joy and you get to speak into the lives of others and it provides enough economic, whatever the word is, for you, maybe it's just perfect.
Well, as I mentioned to you prior, I've changed my mind on an hourly basis. And we must have gone past the hour moment of the podcast because you changed my mind again.
It's 1:03.
You changed my mind again. That's, and that's cool. That's what a luxury that is. I've got a bird in each hand, So what, you know?
Where's the bush?
Hey, you know,
it's on my face.
Come on,
You got a heck of a beard going.
I'm on sophomoric. So, you know, there's choices in life, and you got these moments in life, and you have to weigh them out and think outside yourself and think bigger than yourself. But it's funny, of all the advice I've sought from the people I care about, they all come down to one thing: make yourself happy.
Yeah.
You know, and you have essentially done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not happy, nothing in the way of security can make up for a lack of happiness.
Yeah. I hear people all the time, Spike, say, I am in my second career. I've got to make the money now because I am capable. They want to hire me. They want to bring me on so I can retire and do that thing we all talk about, right? Getting to the retirement years, supposedly the easy years. This is years I travel. I do all the things I always dreamt about doing.
Right. Well,
I think
stay out of cat food is what I'm trying to do for my retirement. You know?
But I think of it differently. My brain says, okay, I'm over 50 years old now. Now I really have to focus on the things I want to do because I am living on borrowed time in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Right? Look, the average age for males, I believe, is 79 years old or 78 or something like that. Doesn't mean I'm going to get there. It also means I could get to 100,
right,
or 120 even, right?
Especially given the progress we're making.
But here's the thing: I could get killed in a car accident, and people would say, "Oh, he was so young," and then a lot of people would say, "Yeah, but he's 50." Like he had his chance.
Yeah.
And so I would just say to you, it's not so much about borrowed time, but you're just, you are in the twilight years of your earning potential, all that crap we've heard. And you can buy into it or not, but it is reality that you are closer to your death than you've ever been. So why not
to quote the great Roger Waters, shorter breath and one day closer to death.
Right.
Yeah.
So just do what you want. Just do what you want.
Okay, I hear you. No,
How
you're
many
right.
times I have to hit you over the head?
No, I hear you.
Just do what you want. Do what makes you happy.
But let me say this: I've been able to indulge myself and love what I do. You know, I've had my golden years of fun. I've traveled.
Why can't you have more golden years of fun?
I got more, sure I do, but it's not like I have to. It's not like I'm, it's like I've been in a cubicle for 30 years and now say I better go see Spain now and not wait till I'm 65. So I might not get to 65.
Right.
You know, I've seen great things. I've done great things. Not that I'm saying I'm not going to do more, but it's not like I got to, I don't know what to do, buddy.
Yeah, I
don't know what to do, man. It's fun. It's cool. It's stressful, but it's fun.
At least you have options.
Yeah, well, here.
And I'm sure you
and
have
I'm telling
more
you,
coming
a year ago, I didn't have many options at all. You know, and had really patchwork and opportunities together to just keep afloat. You know.
So I know you're a lapsed Catholic. We talked about this.
Sure am.
Do you ever pray about this sort of thing?
I don't. I have a vacant relationship with the Lord.
The capital L.
Yeah. Do you seek wisdom and guidance from a higher power? Sure.
But is it always please help me, Lord?
No, it's never please help me, Lord. It's just, it's not give me clarity, give me a sign. That's,
those are movie tropes.
I tend to think that, okay, I want to look at life's perspective when I need guidance, when I need wisdom, when I need, a sign. I tend to look inward and say, okay, how is this going to affect the world I care about, And then if I make a decision based on something bigger than myself, I think that's my sign. I think that's my guidance. I think from a religious perspective, I hope that religion is based on a sense of all of us.
Right.
I think religion, to me it is, and I think for others it should be, but who the fuck am I to say? Religion should be based on, okay, how are we all moving forward to a better situation and better place together? And if I look for those kind of, mileposts or guardrails to make my decisions, there's my higher power speaking to me.
Yeah.
I'll look at my options and my choices through a lens of, okay, Am I not being selfish? Am I not going to hurt somebody? Is this decision not going to be at the expense of someone else?
Sure.
Maybe that's my Lord. That's my higher power reaching into my mind and giving me a sign.
I have this weird take on prayer that says, if I pray for myself, and this is not biblical, by the way, it's just my own take on it, but my belief is that if I pray for myself, it doesn't mean that God won't hear me, but my prayers tend to be selfish. They do. You know, Lord, show me the way. You know, help me do better. Help me find a better career, or whatever. You know what I mean? They're always selfish, but I've found that my prayers for others are obviously never selfish because they're for my desire for the best of others.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I offer you for $5.
Okay.
I offer you that I will pray for you.
You'll pray for me for $5?
For $5.
Seems like a
it's
good deal for
only
me.
going to run you $5.
That's a good deal for me.
And parking.
I think we're saying the same thing, though. Isn't that funny?
We are.
I mean, we kind of are, you know. I think when I don't pray often. So if I do, oh hell, what's he want? You know, this is cool. Hey, look who called. You know, look who's calling.
Yeah, but you know what? You have your daughters, and I don't want to make this religious conversation, but you have your daughters, and you would do anything for your children, and there are times when you say no, and there are times when you say yes, but you always hear them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not Catholic. I don't believe in a God that is pissed off at us or despises us. I really believe that our God is gracious. Our Creator loves to hear from us, and that He does want to give us, in a sense, what we want, barring that they don't take us away from our relationship, our fellowship with Him. So I really feel like the Lord will give you exactly what He's built you for, as long as it does not take your eyes off of Him. And so I'm not telling you to try to get religious and try to, find your faith, but I am saying that that's how it feels like it works for me. And that because I know, without a shadow of a doubt, Spike, you can feel it in your gut. That's what everybody talks about, the sixth sense. They know in their gut when something's right and when something's wrong, when somebody's full of crap, when somebody's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know.
Yeah.
And when you ignore it, it's always going to kick you in the ass. Always.
Yeah.
And usually it's a distraction of sex or money or something else that's very fleshly, right? That things that we want. Man, I want that car. I want that hot girl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are always the things. And that's the allure of that. And so I would just tell you that in whatever choices you make, and whatever choices any listeners are out there making in regards to their situation, would be listen to that inner voice that says, I know that's a distraction, because money can always be made, but you cannot make happiness. You can't make it. It comes to you. You don't generate happiness. You don't. It's innately built into you, and it's only released when you're doing the thing you're built for. I believe this with all my heart. Final thoughts?
No, I gotta pee.